November 24, 1971. A man in a dark suit and tie walks onto an airplane. He is calm. He is polite. He orders a bourbon and soda like this is just another short flight to Seattle. Then he hands a folded note to a flight attendant. The note says he has a palm. A few hours later, that same man has $200,000 in cash. 4 parachutes have been delivered to the plane, the passengers have been released, and the aircraft is back in the air. Then, somewhere over southwest Washington, in rain, darkness, and freezing air, he opens the rear stairs of a Boeing 727 and jumps into history. No body, no clear trace, no confirmed identity. The only unsolved skyjacking in United States commercial aviation history. Today, we are going to break down the D.B. Cooper case minute by minute, from the boarding gate to the jump, from the FBI evidence to the new leads discussed between 2024 and 2026. Buckle up. This story is unreal. Welcome to the channel. If you like historical mysteries, cold cases, and stories where the evidence is stranger than fiction, you are in the right place. Today we are talking about D.B. Cooper, or more accurately, Dan Cooper, the name he actually used when he bought his ticket. He was not famous, he was not dramatic, he was not loud. That is what makes the story so disturbing. A perfect unknown walks into an airport, takes control of a passenger jet, and disappears so completely that more than 50 years later, the case still feels alive. It is the day before Thanksgiving, Portland International Airport, Oregon. A man who appears to be in his 40s approaches the Northwest Orient Airlines counter and buys a one-way ticket to Seattle. He pays in cash. The flight is Northwest Orient Flight 305, a short hop that should take about 30 minutes. Witnesses describe him as calm, about 5'10", dark hair, business suit, white shirt, black tie, and dark glasses. He does not look like a movie villain. He looks like someone who belongs in an airport in 1971.
He boards the Boeing 727 and takes a seat near the back of the aircraft. Most accounts place him in the rear cabin, near the aft stairs, the feature that will later make the crime possible. He orders a bourbon and soda. He lights a cigarette. He is quiet, controlled, almost forgettable. And for a few minutes, nothing happens. Then, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he calls flight attendant Florence Schaffner. He gives her a folded note. At first, she thinks it may be a clumsy flirtation and puts it away. Cooper leans toward her and tells her she should read it. He says he has a bomb. The note is never recovered because Cooper takes it back, but Schaffner later describes the message. He has a bomb in his briefcase and she is to sit beside him. He opens the cheap attaché case just enough for her to see what appears to be red sticks, wires, and a battery. Whether it is a real bomb or a prop is still one of the unanswered questions. He is not panicking. He is not shouting. He dictates his demands. $200,000 in $20 bills, 4 parachutes, and a field truck waiting in Seattle. The message goes to the cockpit. The crew contacts the airline and authorities. The FBI is pulled into the case while the plane is still in the air. At Seattle-Tacoma Airport, the airline agrees. The money is assembled. The parachutes are located. The aircraft lands and the exchange begins. Cooper releases the 36 passengers. That detail matters. He does not massacre people. He does not give speeches. He keeps several crew members and prepares the second phase of his plan. He inspects the cash. He inspects the parachutes. He asks for the plane to be refueled. Then he gives instructions for the next flight. Destination, Mexico City. Altitude, low. Speed, slow. The rear stairs are central to the plan. The crew is ordered to stay in the cockpit and leave him alone. This is where the story stops being a hijacking and becomes something almost impossible.
The plane takes off again from Seattle, heading south. It is nighttime. The weather is bad. The air is cold. Cooper is alone in the back of the aircraft with the ransom money and parachutes. At some point, he lowers the aft stairs. The cabin fills with noise and pressure. The crew feels changes in the aircraft, but they cannot see him. A little after 8 o'clock, somewhere between Seattle and Reno, the pilots notice a pressure bump. Investigators later believe this is the moment Cooper jumped. Think about what that means. No modern gear, no tracking beacon, no helmet, no clear landing zone. Rain, forest, darkness, and a parachute that the FBI later said was not steerable. He jumps from the back of a Boeing 727 with $200,000 tied to him. Then he vanishes. The plane lands safely in Reno. FBI agents rush aboard. Cooper is gone. The passengers are alive. The money is gone. The mystery has begun. The FBI names the investigation NORJAC, short for Northwest Hijacking. It becomes one of the longest and most famous investigations in Bureau history. Investigators search the aircraft. They recover a black clip-on tie, a tie clip, cigarette butts, and parachutes left behind. They interview witnesses in Portland, Seattle, and Reno. They build composite sketches that will become famous. The search area is brutal. Dense forest, rivers, night terrain, uncertain flight path calculations. It is not one clean X on a map. It is a moving puzzle. Over the years, the FBI reviews hundreds of suspects. By the 5-year anniversary, the Bureau says it had considered more than 800 people and eliminated all but a small number. And then, in 1980, the case suddenly comes back to life. An 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram is on a family outing at Tina Bar along the Columbia River. In the sand, he finds 3 decaying packets of $20 bills. The serial numbers match the ransom money. It is the only confirmed Cooper cash ever recovered.
But the discovery does not solve the case. It makes it stranger. How did the money get there? Did Cooper die and lose it? Did he survive and bury part of it? Did the river carry it? Every answer creates another question. The physical evidence becomes almost mythic. The tie, the money, the parachutes, the plane ticket, the sketches, small objects holding a case that refuses to close. One suspect keeps returning in public debate: Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. McCoy was a former military man and experienced parachutist. In 1972, less than 5 months after Cooper, he carried out a similar skyjacking and escaped by parachute. That similarity made him impossible to ignore. But the FBI officially ruled McCoy out, pointing to eyewitness descriptions and other differences. For many investigators, he was a copycat. For many theorists, he was the man. In 2024, the McCoy theory returned to headlines after a parachute connected by private investigators to the McCoy family story was reported to have been taken by the FBI for review. That does not prove McCoy was Cooper, but it does explain why the debate exploded again. There are other theories. Cooper died during the jump. Cooper survived and lived quietly. Cooper worked around aircraft. Cooper knew the Boeing 727 well. Cooper was lucky. Cooper was brilliant. Cooper was doomed before he left the plane. One of the most interesting clues is the black tie he left behind. Years later, scientists and researchers examined particles of it under powerful microscopes. Reports describe particles including titanium, bismuth, cerium, and strontium sulfide. Some researchers argue that this points towards an aerospace or advanced manufacturing environment, possibly connected to Boeing-era technology. That does not identify Cooper, but it changes the shape of the mystery. Maybe he was not just a random criminal. Maybe he had technical knowledge. Maybe the calm man in seat 18E knew exactly why that aircraft mattered.
Then came the new file releases. In 2025, the FBI Vault published hundreds of additional pages tied to the Cooper investigation. In 2026, more newly posted material was reported, adding interview summaries, tips, and suspect material. These files do not solve the case, but they keep the case alive. They show how large the investigation was, how many false trails existed, and how difficult it is to prove identity beyond speculation. So what happened after the jump? If Cooper died, why was no body found? If he survived, why did almost none of the money ever circulate? If he was skilled, why take such reckless equipment? If he was desperate, how did he stay so calm? That is why D.B. Cooper remains powerful. It is not just a crime story. It is a disappearing act with evidence on both sides. A man boards a plane. He demands money. He frees the passengers. He jumps into a storm. He leaves behind a tie, a legend, and a question that has survived every theory. Was D.B. Cooper dead in the forest before sunrise? Did he pull off the perfect crime? Was McCoy involved, or is that just the most tempting wrong answer? Tell me in the comments, did Cooper survive? Was McCoy the man? Or is the real answer still buried somewhere in the FBI files? Like this video if you want a full part 2 on the suspects. Subscribe for more historical mysteries, aviation cases, and stories the official record never fully settles. And remember, sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is not the one shouting. It is the calm stranger in a suit, ordering bourbon, waiting for the right moment.